developer. Lisa and I just started our company together. We had a deal at Warner Brothers. And there was a show on E! About Anna Nicole Smith. I don't know if anybody saw it. It was a reality show, and it followed Anna Nicole and the day-to-day of her life. And it was a train wreck and riveting. Appointment TV, I'm embarrassed to admit. And Lisa and I were talking, and she had created this character that we called Valerie Cherish, but she had named her something else. She had created that character at the Groundlings 10 years earlier. She called her sort of talk show lady. It was a woman who she would talk just like Valerie Cherish, but she would do her as though she were on The Tonight Show. And Lisa and I started talking about the idea of bringing a character like that in a situation where cameras were following her everywhere. That's it. That's all we talked about. Then she met with Michael Patrick King, who was one of the executive producers of Sex and the City. And the two of them had like this 4-hour lunch, and they practically beat out the entire pilot over lunch. And they figured it out. Michael had this genius idea of, because at this time there were no housewives. It was like Amazing Race had only done one season. Reality TV was in a different state. It was like the beginnings of it. So it was out there, but it was not where it is now. And which is crucial to why we probably wound up where we wound up. But it was very much ahead of its time. And Michael came up with this unbelievable idea that this show really be rooted in the raw footage of a reality show crew that was following this actress around as she gets a sitcom, as her comeback. It was so kind of, it was navel-gazing, but it was also a show within a show, and her character was so rich, and it was just really interesting. And nobody understood it. Nobody understood it. You try to pitch that show, and people were like, what? She's on the show, but she isn't, but this is the footage, but is it cut? Is it edited? And it was really hard to explain. But luckily, because he was who he was, and he had the relationship he had with HBO, and Lisa was who she was, we all went into HBO together. We pitched the show as best we could to the head of HBO at the time. She could not understand a word of what we were talking about. She says, okay, write it. She just basically said, in not so many words, she was saying, I don't know what the hell you just said, but why don't you go ahead and write it? And they wrote it. Lisa wrote it with Michael, and they let us shoot it. And we got to shoot 13 episodes, 12 episodes. And it was really, really rewarding. I mean, every episode pushed the boundaries of what you would normally see on TV and what a woman would do with the attention of the camera who was that addicted to that kind of attention. What we didn't expect was that people would find Lisa so heartbreaking, even when she wasn't trying to be. She was an actress who always landed on her feet, who never seemed to worry when people humiliated her, who had a husband at home who loved her, who had a lot of money. Like, there was no reason to feel sorry for her. But when people watched that show, it was like they couldn't bear to stare at the TV. It was so hard to watch. That's what everybody said. It was so hard to watch. And we did not expect that. And I think in time, people grew to really appreciate it. And certainly since its cancellation, now that it's a good 7 years since we were on the air, people really appreciate it. And I think it's because we have grown accustomed to watching women humiliate themselves in Orange County, in Atlanta, in Beverly Hills. And I think there's a completely different appetite now, but it's a show I continue to be proud of, and it was unique.